In the last several videos, we spent some time getting a basic setup for the Notes application. We now have an HTML document in place, and we've connected some JavaScript to that to allow us to manipulate what the user sees. What we're going to focus on in this video, this challenge video, is you getting a similar setup for the To-Do application. So to kick things off, what we're going to do is close down all of the open files, and we're going to make a new folder in the JS Bootcamp directory. Right here, a new folder. And I'm going to call this one To-Do App. Now there are going to be a few things for you to do, and I'm going to break this challenge up into two parts. So let's go ahead and open up a little text document where we can discuss part one, the first set of things I'd like you to do. Right here, let's start off with the first item in the list, which is just going to be create a new HTML file, and then you're going to add some stuff to it. So you're going to stick with the basic structure required, which we already explored, and you're going to add some content to be viewed in the browser, an H1 and 5 P tags. So you're going to add an H1 with the title for the page, something like things to do, and you're going to add 5 paragraph tags, and the text value for each can just be what you want to do. So you can make up a few different items, go ahead and come up with 5. After that, step 3, and the final step for this first challenge, serve up that folder and view the doc in the browser. So what you're going to need to do is shut down Live Server and switch it to using the other directory. To shut down Live Server, you can just use Control-C on your keyboard. That's going to shut it down and bring us back to the terminal where we can run a different command. In this case, you're going to use the same Live Server command we explored before, but instead of using it with the Notes directory, you'll use it with the To-Dos directory. And then just open it up in the browser and make sure you can see your H1 tag and your 5 paragraph tags. So go ahead and take some time to create this document, set it up correctly, and then view it in the browser. Take some time, pause the video. When you're done, come back and click play. All right, how'd that one go? Hopefully you were able to create that HTML file without too much trouble. I'm going to go ahead and kick things off by adding the file into the To-Do app directory. Now, just like with Notes app, we're going to call this index.html right here. Index.html, and we're going to set up our basic document. Now, you might have copied the document from the other file, or you might have created it on your own from scratch. I'm going to go ahead and follow that approach by first setting up my doc type, setting it equal to HTML, then setting up my HTML tag. In there, we're going to have the head tag. After the head tag, what are we going to have? We're going to have our body tag. Now, what I wanted you to do was set up an H1 and 5 paragraph tags. So let's start off with that H1 tag right here, some sort of title for the page. I'll just say to-dos. Then we'll set up some of those paragraph tags. So right here, we can add our first paragraph, clean the kitchen. Then we can add another one, book flights. Then we'll add a third one, research museums. Then right here, we will have something like walk the dog. I don't even have a dog, and we'll stick to just one more. The final thing to do, finish this course. All right, so we have our H1 and we have our 5 paragraph tags. Now at this point, saving index.html isn't going to do anything because we do not have Live Server running. So the last thing to do was to run Live Server and then view the document in the browser. Over in the terminal, if you remember, we used Live Server space the folder name. In this case, Notes app. For the To-Do app, we just switched the folder over to To-Do app. This is going to make sure that the directory that gets served up is actually the one that contains the To-Do application code. Now, if I go ahead and refresh the browser, what do we see? We see our title and we see our 5 different items. So there we have it. This was the first of 2 challenges for this video. In the first one, we set up a basic document. In the second one, you're going to be required to introduce some JavaScript to perform some filtering of these items using what we learned about DOM manipulation. Let me switch back to the text document and outline that part. So right here, we'll start back from 1 again. First step, create and link a JavaScript file to the HTML. So just like we did for the other project, we're going to have an external JavaScript file we load in using a script tag. That's what you're going to do for step 1. Step 2 is going to require you to iterate over every paragraph, so all of the paragraphs in the document. You're going to remove any paragraph whose text contains the word the. So in this case, I have the right here. So the first paragraph should get removed. The next 2 don't have the, so those should all stay. The 4th one does have the, and the final one does not. So in the case of my code, I would expect this paragraph and this paragraph to get deleted. The other 3 would stay in place. Make sure you have at least 2 of your paragraphs with the word the somewhere in there, and make sure you have a couple that don't, so we can verify that things are actually working correctly. Right here, remove all p tags that have the in the text. Now, we already learned how to do all of this. You know how to query for all the paragraphs and do something for each. You know how to get the text value. You know how to search a string for another string to see if it includes it. And you know how to remove one of your nodes, which means that you have all of the tools necessary to actually complete this challenge. Now, I'm not going to give you any more hints. If you forget how to do any of those, it's going to be up to you to go back and remember, or use the web to search around and get a refresher. You can also use the PDF guide for the course to easily navigate the various things we talked about. Either way, go ahead and knock this out. The end result, when I load the document, I shouldn't see any of the to-dos with the, just the ones that don't have it. Pause the video, knock this out, and when you're done, click play. All right, how'd that one go? Hopefully you were able to create and link up that JavaScript file. I'm going to kick things off by creating this file. I'm going to add it in the to-do app folder, and I'll call it to-do app.js. Now, the fact that I happen to be matching up the folder and file name is just a coincidence. I could literally call this anything I want as long as I use the same name when I'm linking it up with the script tag. Now, just like we did for Notes app, I'm going to load in the script at the very bottom of the body, making sure the script runs after all of the other elements are in place. Let's go ahead and do just that. In index.html, we add our script tag. We're not using inline script, so we're going to put on the source attribute, setting it equal to, right here in quotes, the file name, to-do-app.js. Now we successfully have this file linked in. The next thing you needed to do was step 2. Remove all the p tags that have the in the text. So the first part is to query for all of the paragraphs. Right here, const paragraphs equals, and here you needed to use one of our DOM methods, that is document.querySelector. Now remember, query selector gets you a single one. We want to do something for all of them, so we use query selector all. What are we trying to find? All p tags. So we pass in a single argument, a string, with the text value p. Now down below, we can use paragraphs dot for each to do something for each item. This is where we can figure out if we should remove it or not. And I'm going to pass in the callback function it expects. Right here, we get the access to the individual item. So if I have a list of paragraphs, I could call the individual one paragraph or p or whatever you like. Now inside of here, we're not just going to call paragraph.remove. That would remove all of the paragraphs. We first want some sort of condition. We want a condition based off of the paragraph's text content. So that would be paragraph.text content. Remember, this is a string, and if we want to search a string, we can use includes to see if the string includes another string. We explored this much earlier in the course. I'm going to pass in the other string right here. We determined that the word the is what we're looking for. So this is going to be either true or false. What we're going to do is go ahead and wrap this in an if statement. So if we add our opening parenthesis right here and our closing parenthesis over here, and then our curly braces. So if the text content of this paragraph includes the word the, this code is going to run. What are we going to do? We're going to use paragraph.remove to remove it. Notice we're not doing anything if the text content does not contain the word the. We could add an else clause for that, but I didn't tell you to do anything, so there was no need for that. And with this in place, we are all done the second part of the challenge. If I save this file and go over to the browser, what do we see? We see we only have 3 of our original 5 items. The first one and the fourth one have been removed because both of them contained the word the. All of the other ones have been kept in place. That was all you had to do for the challenge. We have our basic document set up and we were able to use JavaScript to manipulate the document via the DOM. We used the DOM property text count, the method remove, and the method query selector all. From here, what we're going to do is talk about one thing we haven't discussed. So we know how to read something off of an element. We can get an element's text value. We know how to change it. We just change text content, and we know how to remove it. We call the remove method. What we haven't looked at is how we can add items to the DOM. So for example, if I were to submit a form and I had the new to-do text in there, how do I take that submitted data and make sure to render the new to-do in the list? To do that, we have to figure out how to add DOM elements with JavaScript. That's the topic coming up next. I'm excited to get to it. So as always, let's not wait. Let's just jump right in.